Well, thank you all for sticking around for the last session of our day, and for really that fourth leg of the stool that Karen was talking about. You know, at the very beginning, when Anita first was telling us about the overarching concept of the action plan, she mentioned, and Karen mentioned it too, that all of these both overlap and interrelate. And that's certainly true. And so you're going to be hearing things in this session that we touched on in the other areas. That doesn't mean it's that they all fit together and they all work together and they're all important. So this is one of the things that we hope that you take back. We've integrated these four action plans from Rotary International down to the strategic plan at the District 5190 level. And we hope you take them back to your clubs themselves and integrate them into your club's action plans. Oh, where's that little arrow at the bottom? I can't find it.
You can use your right and left arrow on your keyboard too.
Right. So this really, when we talk about increasing the ability to adapt, first of all, I have to back up and say I'm Britta Pickett. I'm the immediate past district governor for District 5190, and I'm from the Rotary Club of Amador Upcountry, which is in Amador County in California. And this increasing your ability to adapt is all about change, right? And we don't always like the concept of change. You know, back in the 90s, there across the world, corporations and organizations were looking for ways to increase productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. And that really became the quality movement, looking for continuous improvement in all of our organizations. And as you can imagine, people were reluctant to change and often heard, but that's the way we've always done it around here. I think we've heard that one before too. Well, Dr. Edwards Deming, he was one of the world's quality gurus. And he was speaking at a conference about quality and process improvement and continuous improvement. And a young man stood up and he said, "Dr. Deming, do we really have to change?" And Dr. Deming turned to the young man and he said, "No, survival is not mandatory." And think about that. Survival is not mandatory. I think that's a message for Rotary today as well. Why? Why is it important for us to think about change? So I'd like to ask you guys, why? Why do you think that our Rotary clubs have to change? So if you can just write a few comments into the chat box, why do we have to change? Or do you think we have to change? Maybe you don't think we have to do. If we do, why? So if you can write a few of your comments or your thoughts into the chat box, what would you like to say? I don't see any comments so far. Typing away. There we go. To keep current and refreshing. Yes, absolutely. We don't want to stagnate. Absolutely, Chessa. The world is changing, so do we, to help folks to better engage. When we don't always have everybody as participating. These are great ideas, you guys. To change as the culture changes and the wants and needs of our generations change. Yes, as we bring in newer members, and we were talking about that before, their needs, just as we've said, are different than perhaps we've had before. To continue to serve the world, we need to change, and to meet the needs and diversity of our members. All of these are fabulous. Without it, we go backwards, or as Dr. Deming said, we don't survive. Those are awesome, awesome concepts. And you know, Rotary has both gained and lost 1 million members over the last 10 years. That's crazy. We bring people in, but we don't keep enough of them. The world is changing, so we need to adapt along with the world. We don't have to change everything, but we do need to be more adaptable to the needs of our members and to the needs of our communities, because I think those have changed too. Well, if you think back to the last 18 months, well, I think we've done a little bit of that adaptability. These last 18 months of COVID have definitely been a catalyst, haven't they? So, oops. So if you think about what the catalyst has been, we've actually made a number of changes in our Rotary clubs. We've all talked about them in some of these other sessions. And I would like to just really highlight a few of them again, because I think we have to remember that it's not as if we've stood still. We have made significant changes. That's one of the things as district governor last year, I was so proud of all of the clubs and the changes they made to keep going. Were we afraid that we'd lose some clubs? We were, but we didn't lose clubs. In fact, 20 of our clubs actually grew in the last year. So what are some of the successful changes that you saw whether it was yours or another club made? You can either raise your electronic hand or you can put it into the chat box. And I see a hand raised. Kathy, I see yours is the top of my screen, so I'm going to ask you first.
Well, one of the things that our club did is in the last year or so, we've done a lot more what I'll call one and done projects to keep people involved, but they're in the community service area, but it's just like, in for a mask giveaway and then done, where we can be safe in the environment, but still be doing community service. So it's kept the members really engaged because we've had so many opportunities rather than longer range projects.
I love that. You actually did two things. You did the social distancing and made it safe that way, but you made the types of projects you did maybe a little different as well. Who else? Any other hands raised? I see some of the comments on Zoom. Obviously doing hybrid meetings or just Zoom itself. 2 years ago, how many of us had even ever heard of Zoom? I mean, not. So that's been huge. Different way to do district grants and giving us more time to finish things up. I think that's been different as well. Changing our outreach to the community and the mask giveaway, supporting our drive-through shot clinic. Definitely food needs to the community, and those food needs have significantly increased. At least I know in our community it has. So any other comments? Any hands raised? Online fundraising? Yes, we did. I know our club did a drive-through crab feed. It was definitely different. So all of these things are good changes that we've already made. Well, let's start to think about ways that our clubs could even be more adaptable. Okay, so if you think about it, I'd like you to just think about your own club now and think about these 5 areas: your club experience, service projects and socials, your members and your membership, your club image, your public image, sometimes we call it, and then the business and the operations, the processes actually within your club. Think about your own club, and we're going to do a poll asking you which are the top 3 areas that your personal club needs the most change in. So if you can just mark the top 3 where you think your club needs change. Robin's put it up on the screen, so if you can go ahead and do that. Wow, those jumped pretty fast. Let's get the rest of you in this poll. I'll give you a few more seconds to fill that out. The top 3 where you need change. So what I see here Oh, a little bit. We need a few more people. So our members themselves seems to be the area where we need to take care of the needs of our members. That seems to be the area where we have the greatest need in all our clubs to make some changes. The second one I see is our service and our socials. And it'd be curious to know what that actually means in terms of specificity. And the third one I see the third highest is our image. How do we get our image out there, our public image, share with the rest of the world? So if we take a look at the poll results for these, we have some interesting things that we can do. We want to be able to take a minute to think about your club. When you answered these questions, you had some thoughts in mind about what it meant for you. Yeah, you picked your top 3, but I have a feeling that you know more specifically what that would look like in your club. So I just want you to take a second, a minute on our worksheets that hopefully most of you have downloaded. And if not, you can just take a piece of blank paper and write them down. But for each of those 5 areas, just scribble down a note or 2 of what you'd like to see different in your club. So whether it's in your club experience or about your service projects and socials, your membership, how can we improve that relationship with our members? What can we do to improve our public image? And last but not least, business and operations. What do we need to do differently within there to make a difference? So you're just writing down your ideas about your club. I don't know about you. And actually, I see you still writing, so I'm going to give you another minute. Okay, finish up that thought as you write that down. And I don't know about you, but I know when I start thinking about this, sometimes I feel like, am I just being critical? Is it just me who feels this way about my club? I don't know if it's just me being critical or are there other things that we need to do, in my club. And so the best way when you think about it, this is we just ask you your opinion, but how do we know if it's others that feel this way too? Well, obviously, one of the best ways to do is to ask. And there's a wonderful resource that we have. It was one of the ones that was sent out as a handout, and it's called the Club Health Check. And it's on, as we said, it was sent out by Ginny. It's also on the district website on the button that says Vibrant Club Materials, and you can find it in various places, both on Rotary International as well as our district website. But this is it's a great tool that you can use to find out what the rest of your club members feel. It's broken down into 5 categories. Strangely enough, it's those same 5 categories that we just asked you to take the toll about. And what it does is it doesn't ask you questions. It actually has statements that is listed out, and it asks you to mark what is true about your club. So at the end, you basically know the things that you haven't marked are the areas where potentially you have opportunities to look for adaptability or change or improvement. And at the end of each section, it also has what, since this is a health check, it has what we call a prescription, some ideas of ways to make your club better. So one of the examples in one of the categories, and this is under club experience, one of the statements is, we recognize somebody in the community or in our club at least monthly. If that's true, you mark it. If it's not, it's something you might consider doing. Another statement was, I've made international connections through Rotary. Do I do that within my club? If you aren't, maybe it's an opportunity that you have to explore to find out if your club members are interested in doing more on the international level. So this Rotary Club Health Check is a great tool that you can use with your club members to ask them to fill it out. And then you've got the answers right there about what they think needs to be changed, or where areas where you can be more adaptable within your club. So we're going to take an opportunity to actually explore that in a little bit more depth. And this breakout we're going to do is for you to do that. There are going to be 5 breakouts, and each of them, you might want to take a picture of this. Breakout number 1 is going to be talking about club experience. If you're in breakout number 2, you're going to be talking about your service projects and your socials. Breakout number 3 is about members and membership. 4 is image, and 5 business and operations. So like in the other breakouts, please assign a recorder and a spokesperson. And within your breakout, share ideas on how your clubs might change or be more adaptable in that assigned category that you are part of. So we're going to break out now. Robin, go ahead and send them all away. There you go. Welcome back, everybody. As I see you coming back from the break rooms, not everybody is back, but looking getting there.
Popcorn's popping.
Yep, absolutely. The popcorns are popping. So I hope that was you had some interesting discussions there about different ways that your clubs can become more adaptable. So we're going to have an opportunity now to actually talk about what you learned within your breakouts. So we're going to start with breakout room number 1, your club experience. So who was in breakout number 1?
Jeff's going to do our talking for us.
Yeah.
Jeff, awesome. What are some of the ideas?
So we had a great discussion, and some of the things that were highlighted was referencing to one in particular, mask giveaways, and how much that encourages interaction with both Rotarians and non-Rotarians, and how successful that was. And it also highlighted some of the indication of the different membership types. And there was some discussion about honorary members and making certain individuals honorary members who may not necessarily have the time to participate as a full Rotarian, but yet it makes that connection with them to be able to do that. And things that were mentioned were, somebody who may be a member of Congress, or somebody who may be in the state legislature or in state government, that might be able to fit that sort of category of just being an honorary member, but making that connection to Rotary. And then mention of other civic groups, be it Lions Club, Optimus, things of that nature, that they may have same passion of community service that they do for an organization that they're members of, but would be willing to join Rotary as well. So
interesting when you talk about that is just inviting them to, whether it's honorary or the other organizations, to come in and be speakers to share what's going on with them in either in that political arena, if you will, and I don't mean politics, but just in that governance arena, and or with the other social clubs that could tell you what they're working on too, give you ideas.
Yeah, and in some instances, some may actually become members from that. So again, just providing that framework for which they might find attractive.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome.
How about breakout number 2 around service projects and socials?
Where's Lois? Would you like to, why don't you start? I hope I'm on. I was off again, but I hope I'm back on.
You are. You are. Yeah.
Okay.
Lois,
Okay.
did you want to speak?
She's muted.
Okay.
Lois, can you unmute there?
Yes, okay, so I will just share, we kind of talked about socials and how difficult they have been to find venues that are safe, as well as Kathleen shared a kind of a concern of a club reluctance to put any money towards that. So you plan a social thing and everything has to come from the members and not sponsored by the club. And Wynn was helpful, I think, in saying that
Yes.
it doesn't have to be that way. Certainly the club can use some of their regular club funds to sponsor those activities. So
So anything else on socials is really an area I think that it goes back to what we talked about of building the friendships and maintaining the friendships that you have within the club. Socials are such a great way to do it because it takes away that business meeting part of our regular meetings, and you can just sit down with somebody else and talk and find out more about them and develop those relationships. So very important part. What about members? Breakout number 3.
I've got that one, Berta.
Okay, Bob?
Probably it's obvious for many clubs is obtaining younger members. The second is more diverse members, not only age and ethnicity, but also vocations. Getting members with more energy to get us more engaged. Meeting the needs of all members. We spoke about the different meeting formats and maybe create groups within your club that have different meeting preferences and encouraging them to exercise their meeting preferences. And if you ask members what they would like to see changed, make sure you follow up and don't just ignore, just don't collect the information and put it on a shelf. Make those changes.
Really good point, because if we ask and then we do nothing, what's the feeling then that your members have? Yeah, that you really don't care. You ask, but you really don't care. So great. Thank you, Bob. And okay, breakout number 4, image. Who'd like to speak? Do I see any hands? Who was in breakout number 4?
I think that was Jerry, but I think he ignored me when I said, Jerry, you can talk.
Hey, Jerry,
I'll
why
do
don't you
this.
talk?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. There were some interesting comments in our group trying to get public relations reactions from the media is more difficult in some communities than others, but one of our group indicated that you need to structure the public relations or the outreach to what the media type or outlet likes to hear. So if they seem to have a focus on youth, that's a good topic to bring forward to help create the image for Rotary. We heard that a couple of times. And then we also need to make sure that we're focusing on technology, social, internet, those kinds of things. And I think my experience in shopping around with some of our clubs, and my own might be at times fall into this category, we need to make sure everything is up to date. It's real easy to get behind on information that's posted to a website. So that's a part of that, staying tuned in with the technology. And then, of course, people need to see things when they come to our websites that are interesting and things that they can relate to. So if I miss something, Chessa, you or Lindy or Walt can join in. Thank
I
you.
like what you said about it shouldn't just be up to date, but it should be interesting. It's a good point. What is it that you want people to know about the club when they log into whether it's a Facebook page or Instagram or your website? So good point. Thank you, Jerry. And breakout number 5 was about business and operations. Who'd like to speak to that?
That would be me.
Okay.
It's Tony. Yeah, I was elected, that one of those appointed electing. I know. Yeah, voluntold, that's right. We talked about whether to fine or not fine for different reasons and what are the goods and bads of that. We talked about having board meetings open to the entire membership where they can't vote, but they could come and listen if they wanted to and even voice their opinion on something if they wanted to, and different ways to do that kind of things to make other members feel included and not like it's a secret society or something the board members are only and stuff. And we talked about different ways to handle when there's people talking and not allowing the president to perform the duties and the meeting agenda and stuff. And so those are the main points we talked about. I'm sure I missed some, didn't I, group? But that's about it.
Very good. Well, thank you. And thank you all of you for your contributions in the breakout. We really do have many opportunities to look at to say, what do our members want? And then what can we change? And how can we do that? So these are the things. I hope you were all taking notes because they were some great ideas out there and really important for us to look at going forward. So, you think about it, what does it really take for our clubs to change, right? I mean, it's one thing to talk about what needs to be done, but what do you really need? And I think there's a mindset and there's kind of a perspective that really would be helpful for all of us to have for those changes to really take place. And I think these are some of them. Be willing to accept some change. As I said earlier on, we don't have to change everything in our clubs. We have fabulous things going on in our clubs. And that's important to recognize and remember. We're not talking about full change, but some. Where do we need to do things differently? Be open to continuous improvement. In other words, don't just make one change. You say, okay, I'm done. This is something you need to be looking at always. Where can we be better? I like to think of it, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? Okay, we can always find something in ourselves or in our organization that we can do better. Be willing to take a few risks, and even if they don't work out, because sometimes by our mistakes, and I don't like to think of this as a mistake, but let's say it's a failure, we try it, it didn't work out, people weren't really happy, but we learned from it. I remember we changed meeting times and days in our club. We went from an evening club to a lunch club. It made it crazy for us. And we didn't like it. We tried it for 6 months and we changed back. So those are things that you learn, and it's okay to do that. Embrace technology. Jerry mentioned it, and all of us have in different times. What do we need to learn? Is there equipment needs that we need to change? Do we need some classes? Maybe have someone come in. We had someone in our club come in from our local computer shop, and they talked to us about passwords and security, and it was fascinating. We can all learn. Invite and involve younger people, particularly not just into your club, but into your club leadership. Get them involved in your board, because they will bring those ideas to the board, and that is going to help start some of those changes, because that's the decision-making body of your club. Develop, and this was mentioned, obviously, Jeff, you mentioned it, develop a more diverse club membership. How can you bring in different types of people, different genders, different backgrounds, all of those. Diversity is such a broad topic. That's the whole point. Just let's make us as broad as our community, as broad as we possibly can. And I think that the more we can remember to keep it light, keep it fun, and remember to find the joy. You probably heard that from me once or twice before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adaptability ideas to consider. Hold a visioning. For those of you who haven't had a visioning in your club, oh my gosh, it's a wonderful experience. And believe it or not, it's another thing that we're doing virtually these days. So you can, if you have a recent one that you did within the last few years, use the results from that to figure out what your club members want to do going forward. The visioning gives you information about what their needs and desires are and where they see the Rotary Club going. Include all, younger Rotarians in all facets of your club. Build continuity of leadership into club positions. This is a way that you can build adaptability too. When you have leadership, when you have a gap in leadership, sometimes we fall back to just the way things have always been done. But if you have continuity of leadership, you can move forward with a little bit more stability, I think. And it doesn't mean the leadership stays the same while some of your processes change. Encourage that leadership training and provide mentorship, because that's a way that we've learned that part of being a leader is being adaptable to whatever happens. We've found in the last couple of years, we have to be adaptable. We don't know what life is going to give us, whether it's a fire or if it's a pandemic. Ensure all voices are always heard and respected, and review your processes and roles and whatever you do annually, so you don't get stuck and we just have to do the same thing over and over. We can move on to do new things. Okay, and what we need to remember, is going to, if any of you have been to RILA or you've had RILA participants speak to your clubs, you've probably learned that one of the most important lessons they learned at RILA is that we get to do things instead of we have to do things. And so I think remembering RILA's advice is that we get to change. It's true, we get to make the changes that we think are the best for our club and that are going to be the most beneficial. Yeah, it's a perspective, but it's a good one. Okay, I want to, before we leave, because this was the last of the 4 sessions, I want you to write down any new ideas that popped up for you. Think about what you've learned today, because this is your opportunity to take all of today's messages and bring them back to your club to create an action plan for your club, or a strategic plan, whatever you want to call it within your club, that includes these 4 priorities. And remember that we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can always adjust our sails to reach our destination. You are all change agents. It's you who will make it happen, not me, not the other, it's not up to somebody else. It's really up to us to bring forward our ideas and let them be heard. I really thank you, all of you, for your time today with me, and of course with the other sessions as well. I want to say thank you to Robin and Tom. And the last, before we turn it over, is all of us is to remember to make our clubs vibrant. So to wrap up and close shop today.
Before you do that, you've got a couple things in the chat that we may want to address. One is Chessa said maybe we should think about evolving rather than changing. And then Sarah asked a question about, does one need to be 18 or older to join? So you may want to talk about the age groups of Rotary.
Thank you. I apologize for missing those. So thanks. And that is why we have Robin and Tom there, is to keep us on track. So evolve versus change. I think that's a really good point, Chessa. It's evolving is changing, but perhaps it's a better term that it's more palatable to some people. We're taking what we've where we were, and we're adding new things to it and evolving over time. So great point. And maybe for our next go round with this, I'll make that change to my presentation. It will evolve as well, right? Just this is another way we continuously improve. The other question was for Rotary and Rotaract. What was the question about?
So does someone need to be 18 or older to join? Jeff added the comment for Rotary and Rotaract. Yeah, but you may want to talk about the different age groups for Rotary subgroups.
Right. So Interact is from 12 to 18, basically. Most Interact clubs are high school Interacts, but we also have middle school Interact clubs. And so that is really school-based. It's around those two age groups and school types. To join Rotary and or Rotaract, you need to be at least 18 years old. In the old days, Rotaract was for 18 to 30-year-olds. And once you turned 30, you had to leave Rotaract and you had to join a Rotary club. In today's Rotary itself has evolved, and you don't have to be 18. You can be any age to join Rotaract, and you can be any age, you can stay in Rotaract beyond your 30th birthday. So the reality is there is no wrong age to be a Rotarian as long as you're 18 and older. That's the opportunity that we have. I don't know if that answers your question or not. That was from Sarah. So Sarah, did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's got her thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Any other questions before we wrap up? Very good. Any other questions from anyone before we wrap up how we increase our adaptability within our clubs?
Berta, I think one question came up in the chat. Also, there was a question about difference between young professionals and Rotaract. I think when they were talking about young professionals, one of the other sessions, it was a category of Rotary members in the traditional Rotary Club. Rotaract being another form of young professionals, but not required that they be young professionals.
No, good
Does that
point.
make any sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Young professionals it tends to be a category of let's say it's a
reduced rate or something of that sort in a regular
right,
club.
if you want to provide opportunities for them. But Rotaract is a type of Rotary club. And so it is, again, traditionally for someone 18 to 30, but it doesn't have to be, it can be expanded beyond that. And Rotary clubs is 18 and beyond. So it can, our Midtown Rotary, for example, started out with a lot of younger Rotarians. They were younger, and interestingly enough, now they've been in Rotary quite a while. They're not so young anymore, which is kind of fun. And they need to continue to bring in younger Rotarians as well, or young professionals into that group. So I hope that does clarify. And thanks for bringing that up, Anita.
Yeah, and then Lindy just asked another question. Have we discussed e-clubs? Well, we haven't particularly, but e-clubs is another type of Rotary club.
It's another way to be adaptable because we can, and e-club, interestingly now, any club could be an e-club, because with COVID, we found that we had to find different ways to meet. So some clubs were meeting just by email. We have one e-club within our district, the e-club of District 5190, and that they do meet via email and interact that way. And then occasionally, at least we got together when some of us, at least when I was doing my visits last year, and they were one of the clubs that actually I got to meet with, which is interesting considering they were an e-club. But
I think it's more than email, Berta. I think it's Zoom and that type of thing as well.
well, it is. And so the designation of e-club in the past was more limiting than it is now. And even e-clubs have evolved to become broader in their perspective. So I don't, hopefully that answers, but again, all of these ways are ways that we can be flexible to meet the needs, and we don't have to be just one thing. I loved the comment earlier where, and I think it was, I apologize now, I forget who said it, but you're meeting twice by Zoom and once as a social. So mixing things up, all of these are ways that we can be flexible and adaptable. Most important part of this, to the needs and desires of your club members. Continue to look for ways to be adaptable in that way, and we will find that we meet, that our club becomes more vibrant, that our members are more engaged, and we walk away with that sense of purpose and commitment and meaning to what we do.
That was our club, Grass Valley.
Sorry, Kathleen, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our district governor, Anita, to wrap up and close today.
Thank you, Berta. And I would like to just ask all of you to be thinking about, I'm going to ask you in just a few minutes, what were your aha moments of the sessions today? And just to give you a very brief outline, we talked about projects need to be long-term solutions to a problem and have significant outcomes. It must change lives. Our members need to be enthusiastic about the project and using a community assessment tool. Those were the things that I grasped out of the Increase Your Impact that Wynn shared with us. Under session 2, Expand Your Reach, Jeff talked about different meeting types and different membership types, and to do joint club projects and improve on our diversity that we have in our clubs. In session 3, Karen shared with us enhancing participant engagement would include reaching out to those that are absent, doing membership surveys, reaching out to those, oh, I said that, reaching out to those that are not here, and reaching out to those members and asking them why they're in Rotary today and what will keep them engaged. And in session 4, Berta just shared with you, increase your ability to adapt. And I love this, the concept of change, survival is not mandatory. I love that. I'm going to keep that one, Berta. And reaching out to our members again, utilizing the club health check and being open to change. We get to change or we get to evolve. So I'd like to ask any members here today to share with us your aha moments at this time. Is there anyone that wants to share something that they really found to be a new aha moment for them? And don't be shy. You don't have to be shy. You can put it in chat if you like. And while I'm waiting, I want to also ask that you complete those evaluations that you have and share with the group, the awesome team, I should say, of Wynn, Jeff, Karen, Berta, Robin, and Tom, what you thought about your experience today, and consider doing a strategic plan or a visioning for your club. So complete the evaluations. Any aha moments? Anybody want to share? Or are you just really ready for lunch? I get that. Oh, Kathleen, yes.
Wait. Well, I was really glad to hear a lot of discussion about socials and the importance of them. And I, when we went to pets and we talked about that, and people said the club should get together and all of that, and I just, that's no big deal. But then I find that in our club, they haven't had socials for a long time, but everybody keeps saying, oh, we used to have these great socials. So listening today, I'm enthused now about making sure that these happen and that the club helps pay for them, that it's not just the responsibility of the committee. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Sarah, what would you like to share?
Well, my aha moment is just the fact that we, as a club, need to reach out to the members that are silent. You know, they support the club, they love the club, but well, I want to know. I want to know where you're at. I mean, I am brand new, and if I am your president-elect, I'm going to be your president next year. I would love to see your faces. This isn't just about your money and, you know, your verbal contribution. No, I mean, so I like the fact that there's a health check, and I'm going to ask Amy to, you know, if that's something that she would like to delegate to me, and I will be more than happy to do that, because we have, I mean, from what I understand, we have 40 members. And
you don't see 40.
Maybe there's 15 of us that attend every Thursday. Okay, well, there's a lot of missing faces, and I know.
Look out! Here comes
so,
Sarah.
That's right.
Good for you. Good for you. Thanks, Sarah. And Walt, what would you like to add?
I just really what hit me was the club plan, and you know, I was just counting the pages here. I took 11 pages of notes today. So
wow,
and then plus
that's
with
awesome.
all the handouts and everything else, I can see there's going to be a lot of things that I need to kind of implement, you know, as president-elect to you know, for my tenure as president for the second time, to you know, make our club a little bit more vibrant when I take helm there. And so that's, you know, my club plan is a big part of what I'm going to be implementing.
Excellent. Thanks, Walt. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I would like to close by saying a huge thank you to Wynn, Jeff, Karen, Berta, Robin, and Tom. And I hope there wasn't anybody else that I left out, because I don't want to leave anyone out. You all did a fantastic job today. And as your district governor, I even learned something. So thank you to everybody, and all of you that attended. Thank you for taking the time. I think it was worthwhile, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So have a great rest of your weekend. Unless somebody has something to add, we're done.